That's fine.
Sure.
$25.
Amazing, I'm coming in. How's everyone today? Tell us in the chat. What time is it for you, Excel?
Like 4 p.m. So we have like 5 hours difference, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's 11 a.m. for me right now.
I just had my nap.
Oh my god, amazing.
Yeah, don't be jealous. Okay, 30. We should get more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we can just wait.
Mm-hmm.
Yay, everyone's saying hello. Hello, everyone.
Ainel wrote, really, you're gorgeous, Jade.
Oh, you are too kind. Thank you. So have you been doing many of these yourself, like getting people on doing webinars, or is this like a one-off?
Yeah, well, I already had Hovik and then some other
Oh yeah.
people, like I know from my friends, and I'm gonna have like more people about like talking about their unis and like their experiences. So I'm like super excited because this camp is online, so like there are literally no borders for us to like
Yeah, that's
like
amazing.
yeah, and we've been also having like admissions officers from like several unis.
That's so cool. I just hope it's useful.
I guess we can start. The other people will just like join.
Okay, sure. Okay. Do you want to introduce, or shall I?
I don't know. Should I? Maybe I can like start off in Russian, and then you can just do it in English.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. Ребятки, всем привет. Спасибо, что пришли. Перед вами Jade, моя одногруппница, подруга с Минервой. Также я вам скидывала ее видео на YouTube, да, то, что она очень популярная. Вы видели ее оценки, like, she's very smart and stuff.
That's like the only thing in English.
Так что вот задавайте вопросы. Как вы видите, она очень позитивная, открытая. Задавайте нормальные вопросы, пожалуйста. Все. Okay. Now in English.
Beautiful. Okay, so basically all I understood from that was like Jade and YouTube. But yeah, hi everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in today. As Estelle probably said, my name is Jade. I'm from the UK and I have a YouTube channel. I'm currently 20 years old, but I started this YouTube channel when I was 17. And I specifically made content around study tips and motivation, predominantly UK focused, but honestly, studying is studying. Like the tips are quite transferable. So today's Estelle just asked me to talk a bit about study tips, study advice, motivation, and also something that I'm really passionate about is mindset. Because I think this is something that's often overlooked in students and I think just in general in life, there's two things. You want to be successful, but you also want to be like happy in life. And I think we all live in this kind of like hustle culture where we can get into this zone of like work, but not necessarily be like positive at the same time. So that's what I'm going to talk about today. I hope you enjoy it. And yeah, we're also going to have a Q&A session. So hold your questions if you have any. Yeah, so I guess just to start talking about study tips, I think there's a really commonly held notion among young people that like highlighting or passive techniques that take a long time are better or are a good way of studying. And this is kind of problematic because a lot of students will spend like a whole Saturday or something thinking they're doing really effective studying by going through their textbook, they're going through their class notes, they're highlighting, But the thing is, you can spend a whole day doing something, but if it's not actually that effective as a study technique, it's kind of useless. So something that I talk a lot about on my channel is using active recall techniques. And this is something that me and Estelle have also learned a lot at Minerva. But this is where you're not just looking at information. So for example, looking at a textbook, looking at a video. Instead, you have to actively try and recall the knowledge from your brain. And it's a lot harder, it's a lot more mentally intensive, but that's why it works. So for example, you can make flashcards for studying. You can write questions for yourself and on the other side have the answer. And just the act of having to ask the question, recall the answer, is a lot better than just reading more information about the topic. And a technique that I really like is called blurting. And this is something that's now being used quite a lot in UK schools. I don't know about Kazakhstan, but here we go. And the idea is that you take a chapter of something that you're trying to study. So for example, you're learning some science and you are trying to memorize something from chapter 5. What you do is, instead of sitting there and looking at your textbook, you give yourself some keyword prompts from that chapter. So like a few words that are going to prompt the ideas that you have to remember, the processes, and then you take a blank piece of paper and you blurt down everything that you can remember from that chapter and from that topic, and you just have to explain it to yourself. You can also do this where you do it verbally, so teaching someone, explaining to a friend, but you don't have the textbook there, you don't have the point of reference, you just have to do it from your head. And the reason I like doing it on paper is, once you've written down everything, you've blurted down the information, you can take the textbook and your information and compare it. And this is a very quick way of you finding out what you actually know and what you don't, because it's really easy when you're doing passive methods to think that you don't. So this is where the active recall methods come in. And yeah, so coming back to the idea of you're spending your whole day doing this studying, what we really want is quality over quantity. So I think if you guys can focus on working smarter instead of harder, that is just going to change your prospects for your exam grades, career, life, because it allows you to not only manage your time better, but just like make effective use of that time and hopefully memorize things better, do better in exams. Also, I think something really important, I don't know that much about the education system in Kazakhstan, but doing like practice papers. Yeah, tell me about it. So yeah, give me the lowdown.
So I don't remember if I've told you, my school personally, we did like Cambridge exams and A-levels. Then there are some schools who do like IB program, and there are schools who do 11 years and like standard programs. So like there are really different types, and we have like lots of international schools. And for now, I think like out of our students, like it's mixed. We have like some gifted school students and some regular school students. Yeah.
I mean, both of them are tough. Yeah, like A-levels are tough, IB is tough. So wow, like props to you guys for doing it. Yeah, so I guess it's really important when you've got all that information you have to learn, like not only learning it, but just practicing those past papers or practicing the format is so crucial to you being able to apply the knowledge, like the exam technique. And also something which Minerva tells us a lot about is spaced repetition. Yeah. So yay, the idea behind this is repeating your studying of different pieces of information at set intervals. So for example, you've done that blurting method to learn something about science, and then if you go over the same information in like a day, then you know it really well after that day, so you wait 2 days and you review it again. Then you know it pretty well, and then just as you're about to forget it, like 4 days later, you review it again. And if you just do that technique where you revisit it slowly at longer intervals, that is how you're going to put it in your long-term memory. That's been really helpful when you've got exams and you have to apply it. Yeah, so those are some of my studying tips. But I think more generally, when you're looking at the way that you can structure your life as a student, I think it's so important to have a routine. And especially now when like it's so easy not to have one, we're all just at home, you kind of have to set your own schedule. If you want to be productive or get motivated, it is kind of on you. And I don't know if you know that much about habit formation, but habits are really easy to make and really easy to break. And that's kind of the magic of them and the bad part of them, because if you've got a bad habit, you can quite easily make a new one by replacing a bad habit with that new one. So for example, if you've got exams coming up and you're looking at your life and you're like, oh my God, I am staying up until 3 a.m., and going on my phone, and you're thinking to yourself, wow, like that's having a knock-on effect on the morning because I wake up really late and I wake up feeling sluggish, I don't really want the day to start, then you're kind of like wasting that time. And so I think it's quite useful if you sit down with yourself and think, when do I work the most effectively? How can I optimize that time? And then set up habits and routine until the habits are just like natural for you. And then it doesn't really require any effort or motivation anymore because you've got them in place. Yeah, and like we live in the age of distraction. Like you're talking to someone who does YouTube. At the end of the day, like it is so easy to spend crazy amounts of time like consuming media. And I think the most powerful thing you can do is like try and become more of a creator than a passive consumer. So like whether that is you like actively learning, you starting a little project or trying to do something effective with your time, it's obviously harder and requires more effort, but the long-term reward is just so much more powerful, because at the end of the day, if I spend 2 hours on TikTok today, I'm not going to remember me spending 2 hours on TikTok today in 5 years. But if I don't know, come to a cool webinar today, in 5 years, I'll look back and be like, wow, like I'm really glad that I did this. So I guess it is just making these choices in your everyday. Oh, someone asked, can you tell us how your day begins? Sure. So I'll take you through roughly my routine, because I feel like it took me a while to find the way that I wanted to like be effective today, I guess. Yeah, and I tend to wake up at about between 6:30 and 7 a.m. just because I am a morning person and I know that I'm most effective in the morning. So I like, even if I go to bed late, it's like, Jade, the habit is waking up early. You can suffer through it. You can like wake up and get stuff done. And as I'm going to come on to later, I'm a big fan of mindset and reinforcing positive habits. So I will tend to do about half an hour of either yoga or meditation, or just like not going on my phone first thing, which is like, I don't know, it's really hard to do, but it's really important when you get it going. And yeah, then I will like get ready, get changed, so that I feel like that's another thing when you're in quarantine. It's so easy to just like lounge around in your pajamas all day. So I either choose my outfit the night before, or I just make sure I like get ready. It's like, oh, Jade, fine, like you have to do work today, you have to do stuff because you're already dressed. Then I go downstairs, I'll make the same breakfast every day because I just have it in my routine. Porridge is a big thing in the UK, so I make porridge. Then by about 8:30 a.m. I'm like starting my work. I'll always write like a to-do list for the day, like set some goals, sort of like reevaluate my life a bit. Yeah, and that's my personal morning routine, but I guess it's just about finding what works for you. Yeah, does anyone have any more questions about routine quickly? Otherwise I will talk a bit about like motivation and mindset, and then also later on I'll talk more generally about like Minerva and what I want to study and those kind of things. But yeah, if not, we can talk a little bit about mindset.
Yeah,
I don't.
to ask about like studying mindset, but they're just like super excited. Sultan and
Oh, brilliant. Honestly, I don't understand Russian, so I'm just looking at it like, I hope this is a nice comment.
oh, this is one of the mentors, like me, who teaches students, and he's like, "Yo, I'm rising Harvard freshman. If you're visiting,
Oh
boosting."
my god, yeah. That's so cool. I really want to head to Harvard. Do you know John Fish? Do you know who that is? He's a
I
YouTuber at Harvard.
Oh my god, I watched.
Yeah, he's so hyped. We do.
Yeah, he's so cool. He's my friend, and you might meet him.
Come to Minerva like recently, like we were when we were there.
He visited us.
I'm sad that I didn't watch his videos at the time, but I started watching them now. So I watched his video about like reading every single book that Joe from You suggests.
Yeah.
When you read those books.
Yeah. Oh, he's really cool. Every time I talk to him, I'm like, oh, like, what are you up to right now? He's like, oh yeah, I'm just coding this incredible project for this place, and oh, I'm just building this. And I'm like, oh wow, like, very cool person. And yes, he is a runner.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Yeah. So I want to know, like, when you were doing your GCSEs and like other exams, A levels, how did you find motivation to like constantly keep studying? Because that's one of the questions a lot of students have. Like, I lost my motivation. How do I like get it back?
That's a great question. I think something that you have to recognize firstly is that motivation is fleeting. Like, motivation isn't actually a permanent thing, but what is permanent is discipline and habits. So something that's quite useful is when you feel really motivated, if you can set up habits in your life, then when you're really not feeling it, you kind of already have that in place. So for example, when I did my A levels, I found flashcards really useful. So I just got into this habit of every single time I had a class, I would make flashcards at the end of the day for like that day's classes. And like, sure, I didn't want to do it half the time. Like, I didn't wake up every day and being like, wow, I'm so motivated for A levels. Like, it just doesn't happen. But if you set up those habits and you commit to them, and you have the grit, you have the determination to just do those things every day, then that kind of compounds and that makes it easier. But I think in terms of trying to find the motivation, I'm a big believer in thinking about future you and like the long-term you, and just thinking that you're not going to remember doing that hour of studying today. You can either go on TikTok for an hour or you can study for an hour. You're not going to remember doing either. But if you do the hour of studying, that might get you 10 more marks on an exam that you don't know. And that could give you a grade which gets you into the university you want to go to. That could propel you onto the job that you want to get. And all of a sudden you're looking down the line at you in 10 years. And even though it feels so far away and it feels like it doesn't really matter right now, everything you're doing now is contributing towards that. So I think that's quite useful to have in mind, especially if you have a career that you want to do. So surprise, I actually wanted to be a vet most of my teenage life, like a veterinarian with animals. And then I realized I didn't want to be a vet. But that's the reason that I took biology, chemistry, maths, and English literature for A level. And I had a post-it note, and it was like I will be a vet one day, you know, like I am a vet, like, sorry, it's gonna happen. And I think just having something there, or something you write down every day, or something you repeat to yourself every single day, is really important for keeping that mindset motivated, having that long-term goal in mind. Even if you don't know what you want to do, I think even having this goal of I will create as many options for myself as possible is a really good mindset to have, because the better your grades are, the more options you have. Yeah. Does that answer your question?
Huh?
Does that answer your question as well?
Yes. That was such a great answer. Honestly, I think that's the best way to like get rid of any kind of fear, procrastination, and like lack of motivation. I always try to do like affirmation, think of myself in the future. That's a great tip.
Yeah, positive visualization is really important.
Yeah. I think actually, like, we also have a psychologist who works as a mentor with us, and he asked the guys to like make a visual map of things like they want to accomplish. I think
That's
that's
really cool.
okay. Do you guys have more questions?
Ooh.
Maybe we could then move on to like blogging, like YouTube, and since there are several questions about that, like one of the very first ones I saw was like, where do you get the motivation for your videos?
I think for me, the motivation to make videos is two things. Firstly, I just really enjoy it, like as a creative outlet. Like part of the motivation comes from genuinely enjoying what I make. And I love that you have so much autonomy and freedom as a YouTuber because you can make what you like. You don't have to ask 10 people in an organization like, oh, can I make a video on this? You just make it, and that's pretty cool. And secondly, I would say it's super rewarding having so many people, you know, having benefited from your videos, or yeah, just hearing feedback keeps you motivated. And obviously that is like a luxury position to be in, to have an audience. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah, great.
Okay, cool.
I was just like reading through questions.
Sure.
Okay, these are some weird questions. Maybe do you have favorite like writers, authors, actresses, singers? That's like a really big
Oh, it's like a,
question.
that's what I was gonna say, it's like quite a broad question. I don't know, it changes all the time. I feel like in the YouTube community, it's really important to have people whose content you admire or friends in the YouTube community, because not only does it give you inspiration, but it's just like a strange job being a YouTuber. Like mental health wise, I actually think it's quite detrimental having so many people care about your life and comment on you as a person. And it's not something like, fame isn't something I would recommend. Like, it's not that fun. So yeah, having friends in the YouTube community is really useful. Yeah.
I remember your first videos about Minerva, and like the comment section was like,
They were like, don't go to Minerva, it's a scam, you're making the worst decision of your life. Like,
yeah, and it made even me worry about it. I was like, what?
yeah.
Did I really make the right decision? I don't know anymore. So yeah, it was a little harsh. Okay. What self-development books would you recommend? Sultana is asking.
Oh, so many. The 4-hour work week is quite good to think about, like cutting down your work to the essentials that you need. And I think it also proposes a lot of good ideas about happiness and what really matters in life. I recently read a book called Rebel Ideas, Rebel Thinking, Rebel Ideas by Matthew Syed. And it's all about diversity and the power of diversity. And as someone who goes to Minerva, I thought it was just like, I thought it was just brilliant, the way that it captures how important like teamwork is and diverse perspectives, diverse opinions. So I'd recommend that. Ego is the Enemy, as my third recommendation, is a great one. It's all about like wanting to be successful, but realizing how like humbling yourself is kind of the most important thing you can do in order to be like a good person and still achieve good things. Yeah,
that's great. Also, out of the other questions, okay, a lot of people just started asking about Minerva. Okay. Oh, there was one question. Is there someone who you look up to, like as your idol? Like
I wouldn't say I have like one idol. Like I know some people have like one person who is someone they constantly strive towards. I don't know, I think I used to, but I actually think through doing YouTube, I've realized that you can't put people on a pedestal almost. So I think in having one idol, you almost make them seem bigger than they are, to the point where they're like not human anymore. And I think doing YouTube and meeting YouTubers is when you realize that like everyone is flawed, everyone is human, everyone's trying to do their best. So I admire people's achievements, but not necessarily idolize them, if that makes any sense.
Oh no, I really like that answer. Yeah, thank you. Okay. Do you have any tips for those who can't get out of their comfort zones?
When you say can't, is it because you're scared to, or is it because you physically can't? Because I think like can't is just an interesting word, because like at the end of the day, if it's you choosing not to go out of your comfort zone, I understand that a lot. Like for me, I went to Minerva, but a year before, like 2 years before, I was scared to get on a train to London on my own. I live just outside of London, and there will never be a right time to do anything. You're never going to wake up one day and be like, do you know what, I suddenly feel really confident to do this, and oh, you know what, I've suddenly decided that yep, I can move abroad and it'll be easy. It's never gonna hit you like that. I think sometimes you just have to stare yourself in the face and be like, what do I want to achieve, what do I want to do? And it's never going to be easy, but just do it. And the more you make getting out of your comfort zone a habit, the easier it is. Like it's sure it's uncomfortable, but you sort of become comfortable in the uncomfortable.
Yeah, I agree with that so much. Like after going to SF, nothing seems scary anymore. Like your comfort zone is so much bigger.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Do you guys have more questions about?
Awesome. I was wondering, do you have advice for improving speaking speech? How do you feel when you hear an international accent? Honestly, I think having spoken to so many international people, I think a lot of people worry so much about like their accent and like not being interpreted well, or being more shy because of their accent. Honestly, like no one cares if you have an accent. Like I think it's really cool. If anything, I'm like, this is amazing. Like tell me where you're from. I want to learn from you. So I just think you have to stop overthinking what you're going to say in your head before you say it. I think it's really helpful, because especially when English isn't your first language, you have this temptation to like plan out the words, like make sure it's like this like flawless sentence before you say it. But just don't worry. Like if you study abroad, it will be okay. Like it really will be. Yeah.
Okay. Should we start answering the Minerva questions, because there are so many of them? Yeah. Do you want to start from the last one?
The tips for people who are scared not to be successful in Minerva. That one. You have so many opportunities for entrepreneurship, but I know some people who regret going to Minerva because they can realize themselves. Well, firstly, I have no idea what I want to do, like at all. So as for the whole like not realizing yourself, like that's me. So yeah, I think a lot of people pretend they have it together, but like no one really knows what they're doing, so that's okay. I think one of the biggest issues at Minerva, or at least for me, is imposter syndrome. Because everyone's so cool, like everyone's just clever and brilliant, and like that's what makes Minerva great.
Yeah.
What did you say?
I was like, I feel you so much in that sense. Like, I had like this huge depression because everyone was so great, and I felt like I didn't belong there.
Which is a lie, because Estelle is amazing and deserves to be there. And it's really easy to say it to other people. But when you're feeling it yourself, like, I get it. And it's a weird community too, because I've never been in a place where not only is everyone so brilliant and so clever, but everyone's so genuinely supportive. Like it's not competitive. People are really nice. And yet you still have this feeling of like, should I be here? And the way you get over that is by just doing it anyway and realizing that literally every single person feels that way. Yeah. And like it's never going to be fully easy. Everyone doubts themselves. It's just part of it.
True. Okay. What Minerva taught you in 1 year?
Oh,
Timberland.
so much. Oh my gosh. Minerva is intense in every way. It's intense in social life, city, academics, like every way that you can learn, you learn. What did it teach me? I think just like so many things. I think the people was the main thing. Like meeting people from everywhere was just like amazing. And I think also you realize that even though we all come from such different backgrounds, you have, you know, different nationalities, different cultures, like you're all just people and everyone can get on and everyone's amazing, and it's just wanting to learn from people.
Yeah, I agree
What
with
about you, Estelle? What was your one big
you.
takeaway from the first year?
Well, I actually found out that we're so different that we're very, very similar. Like, I know it doesn't make sense in a way, but since we're from different countries, we have, just like you said, like we speak different languages and we have very different backgrounds. It's so much fun to find things that were similar, like that are the same for us. So I actually understood that there are so many great people from all around the world and that are very similar to me, and that we're all just human, and like some, how do I say, like racial um stereotypes or like gender stereotypes, a lot of stereotypes that I had from my country, like they're just non-existent anymore because those people are amazing and they taught me a lot
That's a
of
good
things.
point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Especially, yeah, about different countries, you know, like the media feeds you all this stuff about, oh, people from this country are this and people from this country are this, and then you meet people from that country and they're just people. Yeah.
Some people are asking, why did you choose Minerva to study? Like, what are some
Oh,
criteria? What helped you to choose it?
should I tell you the story of like how I found it, how I found Minerva?
Yeah, sure.
Because okay, because it's kind of like a weird story, because no one I knew went to Minerva. Literally no one from the UK had really heard of it. It's just not really a UK thing. Um, and I took a gap year after school. I travelled, I worked, I did YouTube, and I had applied to 5 UK universities. I had my place at Bristol University, which was a great university, very reputable, really good. Well done, Jade. But when I travelled, I sort of realised that I didn't love the idea of traditional university anymore. Like after I had travelled so much and learned so much more in a few months of traveling than in years of school, I was like, oh, I really want something different. And then I had seen this Instagram advert when I was 15 about this new university they were building called Minerva. And at the time I was 15, so I wasn't applying for university. I didn't really think that much of it. But then in my gap year, it just hit me, this advert I had seen years ago. And I did some research trying to find it, found out it was now a legit university, it was doing really well. And I had 3 days left to apply before the deadline. So I was like, right, well, I either go out on a limb and just trust my gut feeling, because everything about it just seemed to be what I had been describing. The fact that university should be more than just you memorizing some facts. It should be more than just partying. It should be exposing you to different cultures, different nationalities, challenging yourself in like the active learning method as opposed to just watching lectures. So everything about it was just like, this is scary, but this is what I should do. And then I almost didn't reply. I was like this close to not going because I got thousands of YouTube comments saying I was making the worst decision ever. And now here I am, and I'm living my best life. So no regrets there. Yeah.
That's a very interesting story. Quite similar to mine. Like I applied regular decision extended to. That was like the latest
Oh wow.
apply.
Yeah.
Okay. Samuel, yeah, I like this one. Most people think that you need to apply to the top universities because of knowledge, but you can get same knowledge in other universities if you really want to learn. So how do you think, what is the other main benefit of the top universities?
That's a great question. I think part of it is reputation. Like, you know, reputation, I hate to say it, but it does matter in the world when you're applying for jobs and stuff. It People care a bit about the institution that you went to. So I don't think that should be the main point, but I do think it's worth noting. I think top universities, yes, you get the same knowledge, but the top universities tend to have the top professors, firstly. So you can learn a lot from these people in their like office hours, in tutorials and seminars, which are more than just lectures, and being able to talk to them is really cool. I mean, maybe do like research projects with them, but also the top universities attract the top students. So I think it's not even just about the institution, I think it's about the student body and the fact that you can learn so much through being around like-minded people who have all these diverse perspectives. And although other universities you can get that too, like it's just amplified at a top university. So I think if you aim high, that's a good way of looking at it. Also, I did take a gap year, to the person asking, yes.
Okay, so maybe the next question is just like Jade and Estelle. Aren't you scared that after graduation you will not have friends around you because a lot of your classmates go into SEP? Sorry, my little sister's in the background.
So cute.
Yeah.
I mean, we're doing it right now, aren't we? Like in the summer, this is kind of reality. At the end of the day, not really, because everyone, no matter what university you go to, you separate. It's just the way it is. Like when people at UK university, for example, when you graduate, people still scatter around the UK and get jobs and work a lot, and you probably see them not that much anyway. And here we just have amazing friends doing amazing things that we've learned to keep in contact virtually anyway, because you have to learn to do that. And then I can just visit them around the world. So it is what it is. But will it be sad? Yeah.
Yeah. Like I am currently sad because all of my friends are like around the world. And you know, like Ukrainians, there are so many of them and they're visiting each other. Meanwhile, me and Marina, we're located so far from each other, although it's the same and like same as other friends. Like yesterday I talked
Exactly, like that's the point. You're in the same country, you still don't see each other.
Yeah. Yesterday I talked to Mateus and like I cried a lot because he's so far away.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe the next question. What do you like to do over and over again?
What do you mean? That, like as in like hobbies?
I guess so. Yeah.
Oh.
I think I answered that question. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm learning ukulele right now, which is really fun because I've never learned an instrument. So it's just like, it's just chill. I'm just sat there like strumming away, like doo doo doo. Yeah, so I'm doing that quite a lot. I love nature and like the outdoors. So I've been cycling a lot in like the fields near me. Travel is just something I do all the time. What about you, Estelle?
Oh my god, is this my webinar or is it I honestly don't know. Like I'm not a very consistent person. Like I change my hobbies quite often. I change my interests quite often. So it's like every time different things. So I don't know. But I love spending time with my like little sister, like with my siblings. Like this is the only thing I'm not bored of. But yeah. Okay. Daria is asking, how do you find inspiration in your everyday life?
Okay, so I have this like concept which I've been doing for the last year or so, and it's called casual magic, which is basically the idea that anything in your mundane everyday can be seen as something magical or beautiful if you just view it in the right way. So like, for example, if you're on a walk and you just, I don't know, it's like the light in the sky is like really beautiful. It's just like on the river and there's like some ducks. Like, sure, if you looked at that with a really boring lens, like, oh, that's just that's just, you know, some nature. But if you view it through this lens of like, oh wow, like that's a really casual moment right there, but it's kind of magical, it's just so beautiful, then I think with that mindset, you have this gratitude and appreciation for your everyday that is kind of inspiration in itself.
Wow, that's very lovely. Is that a British way to say it? Lovely.
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 Lovely jubbly. Oh, are you more creative person? This is a good question, because I think there's this is mindset that like you're either creative or you're scientific. Like, why can't you be both? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And also, like science, you have to be creative in science, because the pinnacle of science is looking at the world around you and creatively imagining how you can put all these facts and evidence together in a way that gives you something new. So I don't know, like throughout school, I did math, I did biology, I did chemistry and English, but my hobby is all creative passions. So I'd say you can be both, do both.
Yeah, I love that. Like people always want you to be like 0 or 1, but of course you can be like 5, 7, whatever. Okay. What is your favorite quote from books, movies? Oh, that's a hard question. Do you have
Really
one?
hard. Oh, let me just like. Oh, okay, wait. There's one which I can't quote word for word. It's something like if the world was simply challenging, or if the world was simply beautiful, it would be easy. But instead, I wake up every day not knowing whether I should spend the day enjoying the world or trying to improve it. Yeah, and that's by, I don't want to say because I'm probably going to get it wrong. I can't remember who it is, but I really like it because I think it captures the way that you want to be happy, you want to enjoy life, but you also want to do things and achieve things.
Yeah, it's a really cute one.
What's your favorite quote, Estelle?
Oh my god. Okay, so there's this book called Gone with the Wind. You know, like Scarlet. So my mom was reading it while she was pregnant with me, and that's why like she thinks I'm like my character is very similar to Scarlet's. But now it's canceled because of racism like issues in this book. I think like they decided to remove it in general, but like not considering those problems, I think it's a really nice book. And Scarlett always says like whenever there is a problem, she says I'll think about it tomorrow. So I really like that. Whenever like there's a problem or things that I can't really solve right now, I'd rather like sleep in and think about it tomorrow with like more positive mindset. So I try to like follow that. Yeah.
That's crazy you said that, because I was listening to a podcast yesterday and they said that exact quote, but they didn't say that it was from that book. So that's crazy. Like, wow, that's where it came from. Cool.
Yeah. I like this one. If you had a soundtrack to your life, what would it be?
Oh my gosh. This is really hard. I feel like these kind of questions require a lot of thought.
Yeah. They're actually being super creative.
Do you have one?
Mine is like dun 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 dun.
Final frontier music.
Yeah.
Wow. I feel like I would be like the Greatest Showman or something. Like, this is me.
Yeah, it's a cute song too.
Yeah.
Are you more a leader or a follower? I don't know. I think it can be both again.
I agree. I think a good leader is also a good follower. Like, I think it also depends on the circumstance. Because I think naturally I'm more of like a leader type person, but I think leadership should be like the most qualified person in the situation. So like say we were doing like a hackathon or something, I don't know, about coding. I'm really not that great at coding. It's like, would I be the leader in this situation? No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So how did we become friends? We went to LA together, which was really cute.
Yeah.
When did we first talk? I don't remember.
Huh?
When was like the first time we like properly talked?
Remember when you came late? So I've met you at the elevator, but like we didn't really know each other. But then we went to Target and we started talking. Hey, remember me? Like we met. So that was basically it. But like we didn't talk as much as when we went to LA. LA was like a really nice trip to like kind of bond and get to know each other. Yeah. Have you ever had bad day during studies? Yeah, go ahead.
Of course. Oh my gosh. Like, yes, life is not perfect, unfortunately. Yeah, even I had this exam, right? So I thought I was going to do biology at a UK university, so biology was really important. And for my A level, I worked so hard for that biology exam. And I came out of the exam sobbing because I didn't finish the exam. Because that year, these stupid AQA exam board had they had tricked us by making the paper double the size it normally was. So most people didn't notice. You don't really, like, when you're doing it, you're just trying to do the questions. I didn't realize how thick it was. So the timing was just like all messed up and it was horrible. Surprise, I still did well because the grade boundaries were really low. But yeah, like I was devastated. And then not only do you have a bad day, but you have to pick yourself up and study for the next exam the next day. So it's not easy all the time.
Yeah, well, good for you that you did it well.
Thanks.
Daria is asking another like good question. What is the most spontaneous thing you've done in your life?
I'm such a spontaneous person. I like so many things.
I really like your gap year decision.
I guess. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I think taking a gap year was pretty good. I was gonna say something that comes to mind. So I won a free Interrail pass from the EU where I could travel around Europe for 30 days. And all my friends went to university, so I was faced with this decision. Do I solo travel? And I've never been solo traveling, or do I just give up this free pass to travel? And so I went alone. And the amount of spontaneity and adventures I had on these travels were just incredible. I met these Swedish girls in Ljubljana in Slovenia, and I got on so well with them. The next day, they asked me if I wanted to go on a spontaneous road trip with them to Lake Bled in the north of Slovenia. And it meant I would have to change my hostels and everything for where I was going. But I thought, you know what? Jade, let's do it. Let's just be spontaneous. Let's go on a road trip with these lovely people you've just met. And it turned out to be the highlight of my trip. So yeah, I think embracing spontaneity is
I watched
magical.
this video about the guy you met.
Oh no! She knows the tea.
It's like super cute. Wow, like I'm jealous. I want to go on a solo trip. Like I've always dreamed of going on a solo trip. Yeah. How do you stay so positive, Jade? Can you please share your secret?
I mean, I'm not positive all the time. Like that's a lie. Like I get really sad and I like cry and doubt myself a lot. Like I'm not positive all the time. But I would say I try and be optimistic. I think it's like, again, it's something you practice and you learn. It's like a choice. You can choose to be pessimistic or optimistic. And to say when you're faced with something really rubbish or like a bad thing, like you get to choose in that moment how you react. Sure, you can be sad, like that's okay, but you can also spin it and think, okay, well, this happened for a reason, or I can learn from this, or like I still am a person worthy of being successful and happy, and like I can still make something good out of the situation. So honestly, I guess it's choosing to stay positive.
Yeah, but like you're one of the most positive people I know in my life. Honestly, like whenever I see you, you're like smiling and happy and excited, and I'm like, how, Jane? Yeah,
I just love people as well. Like being around people makes me happy.
Yeah, I agree with. Oh my God, don't read the next question. They're like, can you recall one story when a sales? There is one. I'm perfect.
Estelle's perfect.
Yeah.
She's perfect, guys. I don't know what you're on about.
What do you plan to do
No,
after?
I'm not gonna spill tea.
What do
What do I
you?
plan to do after Minerva? Oh, I honestly don't know. Yeah, I don't know for definite. I think I'll end up pivoting off of the YouTube thing potentially into business or like entrepreneurship because I'm really interested in the startup space and doing something like positive that helps people potentially either like in sustainability or like empower. Yeah, apart from that, I have absolutely no idea. What about you, Asal?
Mhm.
So, what are you going to do after Minerva? How are you going to change the world?
I don't know. I'm also trying to learn more about sustainability side, but like my ultimate goal is actually like girls' education, like for make the education
Hmm,
affordable and things like that. And yeah, and
that's
even now, like
awesome.
we're trying to like out of this camp, we're trying to make it, more good for like students, like trying to donate and
Mm,
things like that. So yeah, it's like mostly about education, but sustainability is a great one, and Kazakhstan is really bad at it. No, I don't want to start a YouTube. Is your quarantine super productive?
define productive, I guess. Like, I have an internship, a summer internship with Minerva, so kind of like I kind of have to do work, like I kind of have to be somewhat productive, and because I have this internship, which is 30 hours a week, and I have the YouTube channel, it's like in order to do both, I have to be somewhat productive. Like it's just I have to get everything done. Oh, my dad is here. Dad, I'm on a webinar. Okay, he's getting stuff. Um, yeah. So yeah, I think it's generally quite productive. But could I do better? Yeah. Like I've taken a lot of time to just chill and relax. And yeah. What
Mm.
about you, Sal? Do you feel like you've been productive?
Uh, the whole May, I wasn't like I was literally doing nothing. But then I like signed up for this internship, and then like I also started working, so it was kind of productive. I've been like spending most of my hours like working and studying, but not in May.
Mm. Yeah,
uh,
and I think there is a pressure. There's a pressure to like write a book right now, or start a podcast, or like I don't know, change the world during quarantine. And at the end of the day, like it is like it's a pandemic. You know what I mean? Like it's not a fun time to just do whatever. So yeah, it's okay if you're not being productive. You just do whatever you need to do.
mm-hmm. I think students really needed that like one quote from you, because like a lot of them were worrying about not being able to, do their regular extracurriculars or like exams.
Yeah.
A lot of them are like going to apply to unis this upcoming year. So we've been trying to do like to find ways to do things at home, like at home
Mm,
activities during
that's cool.
quarantine. So I think they can just go ahead and watch the videos, like learning how to play ukulele and like Dutch. So I think
Mm.
that's really nice. What advice would you give to yourself 2 years ago? Oh.
Wow. Okay, so 2 years ago, I would have been in year 13. I didn't know about Minerva really, didn't know what I was doing, didn't know if I was going to take a gap year, felt very confused. I remember I sat there and making pros and cons lists about what I wanted my life to be like in the future. And so, advice wise, I would say whatever you choose, it will be okay. Like it will be right, whatever you end up doing, because you won't look back. You'll just embrace whatever you're doing. So I'd say like don't worry as much, to be honest, because I just overthought every little decision, and overthinking isn't really that helpful. I think listen to whatever your gut feeling is saying, because my gut feeling was I should take a gap year, but then I had a lot of people in the UK education system being like, oh, it's a really bad idea, you should go straight to university, da, 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 which gave me a lot of confusion and worries. So listen to your gut feeling.
That's a great advice. It's the best advice for like whatever you're doing in your life. You know that trick with the coin, like when you can't when you can't decide on two things, you just flip a coin, and at the moment while it was on air, like whatever thing your gut is telling you is the right one.
That's so true. It's like what you want it to be.
I really love that. Like this is like the moment when you're like, yeah, like that's actually what I meant, but I just was like lying to myself. Yeah, there is another question. Yeah, listen to your heart. That's why. What do you recommend for 2020 applicants, like people who are going to apply this year? No, it's 2021, guys. No, 2020.
Advice, like obviously coronavirus situation a little bit, but I would still say highlight your best achievements. Maybe if you're applying for a specific subject, really flex how much like academic stuff you do, like how much you love that subject. Like it's not all about like volunteering and work experience, blah blah blah. You can write about a book that you read that changed your perspective on this subject, or the meaningful video that you want. I think people get in their heads that they have to do something big, when really I think universities just want to see that you're passionate about learning. So yeah, that was my dad, sorry. Yeah, so I think just like honing in on learning and passions is useful. Yeah, and also don't worry, just try not to worry about it. The right thing will happen.
Yeah, that's a great one. I think we don't have more questions. And yeah, someone's asking, have you passed the 16 personalities test? Have you done it?
Is that the MBTI one?
I don't remember.
I have, but I can't really remember what it was. I can't remember. Well, I read this really interesting personality test, and it was like sometimes when you do a personality test. Oh, you took a photo. Yeah, when you do a personality, that was really not subtle as well. When you do a personality test, sometimes it like cripples your growth, I think. So like, if for example, if you are told by this test that you are an introvert, like that's it, you know what I mean, like that's your personality, then you might use it as an excuse to not try and be more extroverted. I don't know, it's just an interesting perspective that I hadn't heard on personality tests, because like although they are descriptive, they can also be prescriptive for your future. Yeah, I have done it, but I don't know if it matters.
Yeah, well, that's really
I feel like I'm just throwing out these like controversial opinions. I don't know.
But I think that's a great perspective to it, like for sure. Because we always try to put ourselves in those different frames. Like even I do it sometimes, like often try to put myself in a frame. But I really like that. Yeah.
Cool. Also, I do have a meeting soon as well, so I'm gonna have to head off.
Yeah, that's okay. Thank you so much for coming today, Jade. I think that was so great.
Thank you for having me. Okay. Oh, I hope it was somewhat valuable.
No, it was. Yay. I think it was very inspirational. Can you guys like write down thank you, like TYs and stuff?
Oh, thank you so much. Yay. Oh, good luck with whatever you're doing. Good luck with the application. Whatever university you go to, You can do amazing things if you believe that you're doing amazing things. But that's as simple as what it is. You do what you want.
Yeah, so students are saying rahmet, which is like the Kazakh thank you. Go ahead and follow.
Wait, how do I say it?
Rahmet.
Adafmed? Rahmed?
Yeah, rahmet.
Rahmed?
Yeah.
Okay. I probably murdered that, but
Right.
cool. How do I say goodbye?
Sağ bol. Sağ bol.
Salbol, everyone.
Yay.
Thank you.
Good luck on
See
your
you.
presentation.
Bye.
See you. By the way, are you doing Berlin? Oh my god, she left. Okay. Окей, ребят, спасибо всем, что пришли. Я это записала.